his subjects tended to be animals like peacocks or elephants, tigers. He tended to use like one particular simple subject, but his followers tended to use a lot of symmetry and either left to right symmetry or repetition to kind of give the same feel, but a little bit more complicated. And then those sort of reminded me of the poster by Valdemar Sweary of Jimi Hendrix, and then the Push Pin Studio, Milton Glazer's work in the late 70s that influenced American pop art.
I think it's very powerful. I don't want to use the word primitive in the wrong kind of sense, because I don't see this work, it has the sensibility of that. I think it's real vital, it has a real freshness about it. I think it's real dramatic work, and it's work that's almost very immediate in its application. I think its power is derived from the work being very meaningful and related to everyday environment that these artists are in. And I think taking aspects of the past in their culture, like I mentioned textile design and everything around them in their world, and they've brought it back into the fine art world in a very, where they simplify the imagery into patterns, bright, bold colors, and probably real direct paint application.
Professor Richo, I understand you've been teaching the University of Dar es Salaam some years ago, and you were in art and performing department. How do you compare contently the visual art and the theater art in terms of subject, composition, and everything? Yeah.
Probably the most obvious way of relating is the style of presentation. It tends to be more symbolic, more archetypal, rather than interpersonal or psychological. And in that way it's connected to traditional arts, folk arts, the fact that it's more about symbolism. And that's maybe the only corollary I can see, that there are similar concerns as far as social issues in the art, the visual art, as well as the performing art, in that there are the similar issues of female genital mutilation, deforestation, corruption, HIV/AIDS. All these are issues that are kind of relevant to both, and something that's kind of gripping and a major concern for the country. And so that's maybe what they share content-wise. As far as how they presented, they use broad outlines, both in characterization primarily and in presentation. So it's much more theatrical, much more obvious, rather than something that is psychologically based. And so in that way, maybe they're similar.
Because it tells stories that you would not imagine if you really haven't been around animals, especially in Africa, like wild animals. In Africa, you see animals in the nature. You see them playing, you see them having fun, you see them hunting for food, you see them getting sick, you see them happy, and that's what Tingatinga tells those stories.
Vingi sana vimekuwa wanyama, ni kwa sababu kama nilivyosema, yule mtu wa mwanzo ambaye ni Tingatinga mwenyewe alikuwa na ubunifu sana wa kuchora wanyama. Sasa kila mwanafunzi aliyokuwa amefuatia, umejikuta naye ameanza kujifunza kutoka kwake. Kwa hiyo picha nyingi sana unakuta ni wanyama, lakini iko wanyama, iko watu, ndege, wadudu, matunda na vitu vingine vingi tu.